What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So, after a little over a decade, Stranger Things has finally ended its 10-year run. I saw the finale in theaters, so I'm going to give my thoughts on that, as well as Season 5 as a whole, and just so you know, this is going to be completely spoiler-filled. I mean, there's really no way I could talk about the finale in particular without, obviously referencing other things that happened throughout the season, and even the finale, there's going to be full spoilers on display, so please go check out the finale and any episodes you need to catch up on before watching this review. You have been warned. Now, another thing I'd like to say before we get started is, as a quick point of reference, my familiarity with Stranger Things, I didn't grow up watching it or anything. I didn't watch it when it first came out. It was definitely on my list. I just never got around to it. Also, just got Netflix, pretty recently for the first time in a few years. Actually, shout out to my girlfriend's mom. She was the one that actually got me hooked on this show. So, my experience with it really goes back about 5 or 6 months, so just so you know, kind of as a point of reference, I've really just spent the last 3 or 4 months falling in love with this show, and hence why, I like the finale more than most because I didn't have 10 years of anticipation and build-up, but we'll get to that in a second. So without further ado, the first 7 episodes of Season 5, I'm just going to go ahead and get this out of the way. I truthfully wasn't the biggest fan of it. It just felt a little safe in certain areas, and honestly, half the characters throughout this season didn't really have a whole lot to do. There were some nice little character ties, like the stuff with Jonathan, Steve Harrington, and Nancy Wheeler. I thought that was pretty well done for the most part. I would have had her personally go maybe with Steve, but I did like that it kind of shook the status quo in a way, and it was kind of how the three of them just decided to be mutual friends. I did like that. But other things like Max and Holly escaping the Upside Down, like that Vecna underworld or whatever it's called, I just thought the Max escape in Season 4 was much better, to be honest with you. And that's kind of how Season 5 as a whole really felt to me, at least again those first 7 episodes. Just really, despite some cool moments, it was still entertaining, but it also kind of just felt like we had seen better versions of what we got in Season 5, so to speak. Like, again, the running up that hill scene, just, again, as somebody who, obviously I wasn't born in the 80s, but I do enjoy the 80s environment, and honestly, throughout the first, 4 seasons, just seeing them hang out, the boys hanging out, the 80s pop culture references, I like that just as much as I did when stuff went down in the Upside Down realm. I just really enjoyed the camaraderie, and I just felt like a lot of that was lost in Season 5. Again, it wasn't terrible, but it was pretty underwhelming, and there were just a lot of drawn-out conversations that really didn't need to be there. Didn't make sense why we would talk about subject A or B when Vecna's out hunting us down and all that. So yeah, I was definitely going in because I actually watched this in theaters, which was a really cool experience for the finale. And so I was kind of going into this finale a little pessimistic, but cautiously optimistic. That's a good way to put it. I was like, this finale is going to be one of those that it's really going to ride or die on if I would ever rewatch the show, and especially my opinion on Season 5. And honestly, I know I have a friend or two that really didn't like the finale. I actually quite enjoyed it. It did, still feel a little safe in certain areas, and it does kind of suffer from the Lord of the Rings kind of 20+ endings, but at the same time, it had a lot of really good character development, as well as some very satisfying conclusions to certain characters' journey. Some in particular that I'm thinking of would be the Eleven Hopper payoff, where Eleven's talking to Hopper, and she's like, I know you had this child that died. They talked about it in Season 1, and a little bit throughout the other earlier seasons, and Hopper obviously sees Eleven as basically his child, as the grown-up version of the child that he lost, and she's like, I'm an adult, I can make my own decisions, and it was just really well written, really hit me in the feels in that regard. And then obviously once Eleven gets caught up and we think she dies, I personally don't think she did, considering the last scene. I think she's actually alive, but when you think that either way, she's probably not going to ever interact with Mike again. And so Hopper sees Mike going down this path that Hopper's been on for the majority of the show, where he's kind of just still butthurt over the death of his daughter. He's really not wanting to move on. He's having difficulty accepting really anything that happens in life, especially to Eleven in general. And I just thought that whole scene where he sits down at that bench and he's talking to Mike and he's like, hey man, look, I've been down this path before. I don't want you to do it. It's not good. I just thought that was a really satisfying payoff, seeing Hopper really just step up to the plate and be that mentor for Mike that he really needed to be, and just helping him through a very similar situation that he was struggling with. And that final scene, possibly my favorite scene in the entire show. I'd have to think about that. Or, not in the entire show, but in this episode for sure, and probably in season 5 as a whole. The final scene, like the last 5 minutes of this show, was so good. The scene where they get up from playing Dungeons and Dragons, they're walking up the stairs, and then Holly and all those kids that Vecna had trapped in the Upside Down come running down, and they're like, it's our turn to play Dungeons and Dragons. And I really got the point of this show, and especially this final season as a whole, in that moment. It was really just kind of saying that, we grow old, that we make friends, we do all this stuff, but at the end of the day, we're going to grow old, we're going to move on, we'll still have our camaraderie, we'll still have our friendship, and we'll still have those bonds, but the important thing is that we pass down the things we love to the younger generation, and, just continuing those friendships, spending time with each other, going on their own adventures. So in a lot of ways, I kind of understood where they were coming from by kind of sidelining a lot of the main characters in the final season. Again, I wasn't the biggest fan of how they did it, but I can at least understand where the Duffer Brothers were trying to go in that regard, even if it did seem slightly underwhelming to not see a lot of these characters get, in my opinion, the screen time that they actually deserved. But again, I love that final shot with just Mike looking at basically the younger generation carrying on their legacy. Just really satisfying. And, I would say, obviously, while I did like this episode, and I think as a whole the season is, again, it's a decent season and it's a good finale. I wouldn't say it's a great finale, and it's not perfect. I would say the fight with Vecna, what they've been hyping up all season and really the entire series as a whole, does feel a little underwhelming. It's not bad, mind you, and it is pretty satisfying to see Will's mom be the one to chop off the head of Vecna. Really satisfying, and I thought that was a solid choice solid creative choice for the Duffer Brothers to act on. But it is over a little too fast. The fight right before that with Eleven versus Vecna was pretty cool, but again, it's just, I would have liked to seen it go on a little longer and had at least one pretty big fight scene. I mean, we do get a lot of action, don't get me wrong, especially in the first half, but I would have personally just preferred to see a little more. I would have liked a more major action scene. And, it is kind of hard when most of your characters don't have powers aside from, 2. But even so, I feel like they could have found a way to do something, even if it was like the finale of Season 4, just on steroids. Just give us a little bit of an actual full-on fight. But, that's kind of a nitpick. I mean, at the end of the day, I would much rather have solid character development than great fight scenes and really just terrible character resolutions. That's just my opinion, at least. And additionally, there are a couple plot holes that I found to be a little distracting. And again, maybe I missed some of this and, either what was said in lines of dialogue in the final episode or just other parts. But I really thought Dustin's girlfriend, I mean, maybe they referenced something like she broke up with him or something. I can't remember. So I apologize on that, guys. If I'm really just missing something here, then please let me know in the comments. But I really thought we'd get at least some sort of reference to Dustin's girlfriend in this, as well as what happens with Robin's partner as well. Just seems like I would have liked them to stay together because, she kind of knew about Robin's life and where everything was going in terms of, the Upside Down. So I would have thought that would have been a better emotional payoff, in my opinion. But overall, I would say the finale sticks the landing, and the final season as a whole, while not as great as some of the other ones, it's still solid enough. It didn't ruin the series for me. I would definitely watch it again and recommend the series as a whole to people that maybe haven't seen it yet. Like, I know I was late to the party. So yeah, I mean, overall, I would give season 5 as a whole, maybe like a 6, I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. And then the finale, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I thought it was, here's what I'm going to do. Season 5, 6 out of 10. The season 5 finale, 7 out of 10. There we go. I feel confident in that. Let's stick with that. So if I was going to rank the seasons as a whole, I would probably go with season 3. I adored this season. I think season 3 is what made me like a hardcore fan of this series as a whole. It wasn't perfect, mind you, but the finale is probably my favorite finale of the entire show. Probably my favorite episode of the entire show, for that matter. And just really thought it blended, you know, having the kind of sci-fi elements, or whatever you want to call it, of the Upside Down and the Demogorgons, Mind Flayers, all of that, while also just really showcasing the camaraderie of these boys. Just, again, I love the Harcourt Mall, and I really enjoyed just seeing them be kids, and the stuff with Eleven and Hopper and Mike, and the leave the door open 3 inches rule, like all of that, Hopper trying to be this parent. It was just all really great. So season 3 would come in number 1. Number 2, I would actually say might be season 2. Actually, no, I would say season 1. I think the only reason I'd put season 1, it is a good mystery and all, and I would say only reason it might be above season 1 would be the fact that the season 2 is the one with, I'm sorry guys, I'm blanking. It all blends together when you watch them in such short succession. But yeah, season 2 is the one that has that episode where Eleven goes off and kind of meets what's supposed to be her sister or whatever. And, you know, honestly, I mean, it wasn't a bad episode, but I do think it, like, halted the plot just enough to where I would put season 1 above it. But they're pretty much equal in my opinion. And in some ways, I like season 2 just maybe slightly better, but that episode brings it down enough to where I'd say season 1 just felt more consistent. So season 3 comes in at number 1. Season 1 comes in at number 2. Season 2 comes in at number 3. And then I'm going to give season 4 number 4. I really like this season. I just think it took a little while to get going, maybe in the first couple episodes. And then season 5 would come in last for the reasons I just explained. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on, I guess, really Stranger Things as a whole, my experience with it. So just let me know in the comments, guys. How did you get involved with Stranger Things? What's like your ranking of the 5 seasons? There we go. Or just, you know, if you want to tell me what you thought of the finale in general and season 5 as a whole, that'd be great too. So yeah, guys, just let me know in the comments down below. And as always, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video, and I will catch you all later.